Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the Avoiding Broke podcast with me, Jermaine.
And me, Leanne.
And guys, super happy to be with you this Sunday. Bit of a crazy day actually. So we've got a confirmation of a second lockdown happening in the UK,
which happened yesterday. So
yeah, like hot off the press stuff. Due to kick in on Thursday.
Yes.
And I think that's really what we want to try and talk through today. You know, like have a think about what that second lockdown may mean, how we're going to be thinking about our money. How we're going to be thinking about our personal finances during that time.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing to do. We've got until Thursday when lockdown kicks in, and just getting yourself prepared and actually thinking through these things is going to be useful.
Definitely. And, you know, guys, what we really have found is that when you're preparing for these kind of, let's say, stress or crisis type situations, you rely on a very different toolkit. Or you rely on different things being in place to make sure you have got what you need to cover the unexpected.
Yes.
So I think it would be quite helpful. Maybe if we just start there, we just think about what fundamentals we want to have in place, and then we can kind of expand out a little bit and think about what other non-essentials we might want to do.
Okay.
Yeah?
Sounds like a good plan.
You want to kick us off?
I will kick us off. For me, the essential thing to have in place in these times is a budget. And that is, if you have a budget, go through it again. Make sure that you've gone through your bank statements, your direct debits, your standing orders, all of those kind of things, and make sure you've got everything in there. Because I think especially at these times during lockdown and the uncertainty and things like that, I want to know where my money is. Yeah. I want to know what I have coming in, what I have going out. If there's anything left over, what am I going to do with it? And if there isn't, what can I do to try and make sure that I manage my expenses within that.
Let's draw into that a little bit more, right? So, do you think it matters, kind of what your situation is and how much you earn? So, for example, guys, we know, right? Our if we think our audience, our community, would include people who are maybe on employment benefits. You've obviously got students who have got less predictable income and certainly a smaller amount. You've got middle income earners, and we've got some really high earners who are listening to listening to our channel. So do you think it differs what you think about with your budget?
I don't think the fundamentals differ at all, because I think what a budget helps you understand is what you've got coming in and what you have going out, and everyone is going to have those things. Whether your income is unpredictable or not, you still want to have an idea about what your expenses are going out as well. So I think it really doesn't matter kind of what you have coming in and going out, understanding what it is and making sure that you think about it and put yourself in a good position. I think that's what everyone should be doing, no matter what your level of income is or your expenses.
Really makes a lot of sense as a fundamental. And the place I would then take it to is to say, in crisis situations, I like to strip back expenses. Big time.
Yeah. Big
time. So I think that you get the understanding, and then really I want to be building on to, maybe it's a point that you were probably going to make, is second part is to kind of building on a pot like an emergency fund or that kind of buffer.
Most definitely. It's key, especially at these times.
Yeah.
When there is so much uncertainty, that buffer, that safety blanket becomes even more important.
100%. And I think that safety blanket, it lets you do quite a lot of different things. So we can have unexpected expenses. It lets you account for that. We've seen that we've got an extension of the furlough scheme. So some people are unfortunately going to still be surviving on reduced income.
Yes.
So it lets you top that income up to your normal level if you need it. But it also is going to protect us a little bit through the Christmas period. Christmas period is important because you tend to have utility bills going up, so your gas bill increases. When you've got holidays, you're going to find that you're spending more money on your children. You might spend more money on electricity. Forgetting anything else like Christmas presents and all that kind of stuff. But you just generally find a big spike in your expenses. So I would be definitely saying, once you've got your budget, start hammering down that expenses line.
I agree. And I think you've hit a really good point there about expenses going up. And I think that may naturally happen during lockdown as well. You may decide that you want more things to keep yourself comfortable while you are inside, and the advice is not to go out.
Yeah.
And you can't socialise anymore with people, and your pubs and restaurants and those kind of things are closed. So where you may have gone and done those type of things, then maybe you'll switch your expenses to something else that you want to have at home.
Yeah.
And I would just say during this time, when you're going through those expenses, try and strip things back, like you've said.
So that's a really interesting point you're touching on, though, about our tendency as people to want to spend on things that make us feel good.
Yeah.
And that's pretty standard kind of inclination, right? So just take me through then. What advice would you give to people who may be in that kind of lockdown situation and want to make themselves feel good? Like, is it okay to spend? What do you think?
I think, of course, it's okay to spend. I would say this is why your budget is so important, because then that will stop you from overstretching yourself if you understand kind of what you have coming in and your essentials, what you have going out that you really need to cover. Your things like your utilities and your rent or your mortgage and things like that. You honestly need to cover those things. So I think it's okay to spend. I would just say the one thing that I've seen actually when I've been looking at stuff online, I bought Theo some jumpers yesterday, and the availability, even when you are shopping online for things like clothes for your children or even for yourself, is you are now being offered the opportunity to take credit to buy those things. And for me, I would just say, just be wary of that, especially during this time where we may want to spend more to make ourselves feel good. It's a natural thing and we all do it. But I would say, given that it's so easy and it's available and it's right there, I would just be very wary of it.
Great point. Credit is always a really funny one. So, when we actually look at our assets, look at our liabilities, that kind of quick credit for stuff that we don't necessarily really need is something that we would always say kind of be wary of. I think what's really emerged though during this whole period is a really interesting tension where, because mentally this has been so challenging,
yes,
sometimes buying those little things that you really quite enjoy has been very, very good for our health and well-being.
Yes.
Right?
Most definitely.
And we've all kind of been there, and sometimes it just really, really helped just put us in a better place. So I think, guys, my gut feel is that, especially during this second lockdown period, I think there really is actually a place for for a little bit of looser spending.
Okay.
How loose is loose? I'm not too sure. Is too loose? I'm not too sure. And I think you've got to figure that level out for yourselves. But there may be a place for it. I just think, to Leanne's point, the more you can do to reduce the level of just kind of ad hoc expense, the better. And I think don't just jump into it. Don't just kind of give yourself an easy excuse to spend on something you don't need, but balance it with your mental health requirements. And if you're helping other people, balance it with what you think they may need as well.
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's all about balance. So I think you're right. Balancing your finances, your mental health, and actually what is going to make you happy and feel good during this time.
Yeah.
It's key.
Absolutely. So, all right. So we've covered some ground about what we think are fundamentals for looking after your household. Anything else that you want to cover on household fundamentals?
Yes, one thing that I wanted to pick up on what you said was about your utility bills going up, and you may see other expenses in your house going up, and I would just try and think about what we can do there. Like, can you switch your utilities if you're the deal that you've got has come up, or if you're on a prepayment meter or something like that? Is there anything you can do to try and bring those expenses down? I think it's a good time to be doing that, because that's something that you can do from home. You can do it online. You can do it from a smartphone.
100%. So guys, look, tick through those expenses and really challenge yourself to find smart ways to try to save money. Just find smart ways. I think sometimes it even boils down to calling the companies that you're contracted with and seeing if they have got any kind of provisions to help reduce your bill.
It's true.
I would probably even stop it there, because on our previous podcast we've covered a lot of ground about specific things you can do to look at income and expense, and if you look through the podcast playlist you'll see that. But I do just think it's go back to those steps, and just get out there. If you identify you've got 10 different direct debits, 10 different providers, call all customer service teams and see if there is anything they can do to help you reduce your expense, because people are willing to help right now. And I just think we need to be a bit more creative with how we engage and communicate, and we need to be more willing to just ask very basic questions like, can you help?
Yeah, it's so true.
That's what I'm going to do, frankly. We just had the lockdown, as I say, confirmed yesterday. I know that our friends in the States, I know you've not had a stimulus package agreed yet, and it probably won't happen before the election. But we're all in the same position.
Yes, we are.
We're all in the same position. We're fighting to make sure we look after our economies. And so we need to be a bit more creative and a bit more willing just to do what seems a bit unexpected.
Yeah, it's a good point that I think is almost sometimes you don't think about when you do pick up the phone and call these people, is the people on the other end of the line, even though they work for the company that you're calling, they're going to be in the same position as a lot of us as well when thinking about these things as well. So
100%.
They're a human being on the other end of the phone. So.
Yeah. So good. We got the household view solid. Anything else that you want to add? It's like really just focusing then on this point about looking after what's happening in our households.
One thing that I think is going to be incredibly important during this time is looking after your mental health. And I know we have picked up on that very briefly when we're talking about the spending and how it may be, a time when you may want to be a bit loose with your spending within reason, that balance. But I think also now is probably a good time to rethink about the things that maybe that you did during the previous lockdown that actually had a positive impact on you, because we may have got out of the habit of doing those things as things that eased off and stuff like that. So it may be making sure that you go for your daily walk. It may be making sure that you do a yoga session on YouTube or something like that, or baking or something, whatever kind of makes you happy. Just maybe think about what you did last time.
I'm with you on that. So guys, there's a saying, right, that those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Everything that we've got to be doing during this time is all about evolution. And whatever your experience during the previous lockdown, just make sure you are remembering what you went through and try to position yourself to go through things in a better, more robust way. It really doesn't matter, because the thing is, it doesn't matter what you choose to hone in on. Every single bit of change you make, every positive change, gives you a chance to improve. Incremental improvement is what we are really looking for, because there's no magic pill, there's no one-stop shop, one-size-fits-all solution. Doesn't exist. Incremental change, and that starts with being willing to do small things differently and improvement.
Yeah.
And guys, that's really, I think, probably even the key point that we're really covering, I think, on this segment today, is the importance of incremental improvement within your household.
Yes.
For this next phase. Have I summarised too quickly on that? What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that is it. It summarises it beautifully. Going back to my favourite phrase.
Oh, good. You're back on on track now.
No, I think it's a really nice way of summarising it, and I think then I think you've got across the point then that this stuff is manageable. It shouldn't be too big. It shouldn't kind of be scary or anything like that. Small steps make a big difference. So just take each of those small steps.
100%. And just picking up on a slight nuance on what you just said, I think it's very much okay to be scared if you're feeling that, by the way. Yeah. It's completely fine to feel a little bit overwhelmed, because everybody is in massively different situations, right? And we appreciate that. I think we can still continue to track forward and make those improvements. And I'd 100% invite anybody who's listening who is feeling a little bit under the cosh, yes, and maybe wants to bounce a few ideas off for where those incremental gains could be made, just drop us a line, right? You can email. We've got all the communication links in down below in the description below. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you can visit avoidingbroke.co.uk, and you can link up with us there, right? And I think that's hopefully going to be a really useful way of bouncing ideas off and helping with that kind of incremental improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Awesome. So guys, I think that's it for today then. Am I doing the wrap up? I seem to be doing the wrap up every week.
You do.
So guys, that's it for this week. We really wanted to kind of just have this reflection on the confirmation of the second lockdown in the UK, the lack of stimulus bill passing in the US, and really think, how do we really try to fortify, to strengthen what we're doing in our domestic households to prepare us a little bit better and help us make incremental improvement. Really important, because you've got to get stuff right in your household before you get things right outside. And I think for anybody who wants to, and before I come to you, Len, just a second, for anybody who wants to kind of think more broadly about the investing landscape, the financial landscape, why don't you check out the video that I just released yesterday, 30th of October, I think it was. Is that right? 31st of October. I'm losing days. Why don't you check out that video? It was all about some more detailed financial nuances, challenges that we're seeing in the macroeconomy, and how we can start thinking about looking after our portfolios during this time. So hopefully some really valuable stuff in there.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I was going to say, we seem to be thinking along the same lines here.
That's good.
That on our YouTube channel, we've got some other videos that may be quite useful during this time in terms of things like building resilience.
Yes.
And how the detailed one that you did on how to do a budget.
Yes.
Those kind of videos on there. So if you are looking for more information, then do check out the YouTube channel. There's lots of things there. We've put things into playlists, so hopefully it'll make it easy for you guys to find what you're looking for.
Good shout. And as ever, guys, just drop us a line, and if you want to know anything or have a question, want to give any comments, we're here.
We are.
Every week.
We're always here.
We are.
We're not going anywhere now, are we?
No, we're definitely not going anywhere now, so you've at least got 4 more of these sessions guaranteed. But guys, look, it's been great to be with you this Sunday. We hope everybody's doing really well, and we wish everybody and their families good health and all the best for the future.
Most definitely.
We'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week, guys.
All
Look
right.
after yourselves.
Definitely. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.